us know when you're all good, Carlo, Adam. Connor, over to you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Hope you're well. Let's start with the news that broke earlier this morning. Board of Science CFA now confirmed a 6 year ban. Just sort of your reflections, feelings, sort of thoughts on that and that announcement.
It's a lot of games. And it's probably how it is. I think when you behave like that and we do something like that, then you have to expect that you will be suspended, and then of course it's a matter of how many games, and there's probably a protocol for the kind of offence, what you do, and then what you can expect from kind of suspension. So that's probably where we are.
In terms of Borja himself, he's clearly admitted the charge. There's been an apology put out as well, but I'm sure there is probably, I can sort of sense maybe a disappointment in the way that he has behaved. Is that fair from your perspective, that there is a disappointment about the way that it's unfolded and the way that he's sort of conducted himself?
I'll not say I'm disappointed. I think what's important to understand is when you're dealing with young players, and especially inexperienced players, because I think it's fair to say this is probably his best season ever as a player, and that comes with a bigger responsibility. It comes with a different approach to him from an opposition perspective, and it's fair to say that it's been probably too much for him to deal with, and it's been too difficult for him to deal with. Disappointment is not really important for me. I think it's important that we make it very clear to all the players that are in the building that we behave in a certain way. If you do something that is not within the frame that we want players to behave, then of course there's a consequence, and there will be a consequence for him. But I think it's also important that we show all the players that are in the building and all the employees that are in the building that even though you make a mistake, we're still here to support you.
Are you able to provide any sort of context around it? Because I haven't seen it. I'm sure a lot of fans maybe haven't seen it. I think when you see the word spitting and you think about what that could be, there is a picture that's painted in your head, and it's not a particularly nice one. We all know that. So I don't know if you have seen it.
Yeah, I have.
Any sort of context on what exactly happened?
It's a second half incident where they run past each other. I think it's just before or after a free kick situation, and there's definitely, you can see there's an argument between them. They're probably going at each other, and he runs past them, and you can see that he does a movement towards him that could potentially be him spitting. And then of course that was also what he said afterwards, that it is. I think also what he mentioned, Borja, is that it was really not a lot, but I think everyone who knows what it is to be spat knows that enough is enough, and whether it's not much or too much, then it's still enough. So for his understanding also to know that it's not something you can do, and it should never happen again. So we've seen it, and he also quite early admitted that there was something.
And then just finally on this point, there will be obviously people looking at this incident. There'll be people looking at sort of the Kenny McLean one earlier in the season, with the language that he used towards a match official, and they'll be speaking maybe about discipline and whatnot. What would your response be to people who maybe look at this group and say that potentially there is a little bit of a discipline issue? What can you say to maybe reassure them about that particular issue?
Yeah, but I cannot reassure them that things like that will not happen again. We're human beings, and we can affected by and will be affected by emotions. Saturday was emotions on a fantastic note, on a fantastic way. It could potentially in the future be emotions in the different scenario. I think it's just important that we of course address it, and that we talk about it as a club and as a team. And Borja also did to the group of players, where he admitted that it was not good, and it was disrespectful, and the last thing he wants is to hurt the team, and now he will hurt the team. So I think that was the first step for him to take. I think incidents can happen. Some incidents should never happen. This is one of them that should never happen. But I think when you talk about tackles, when you talk about red cards, bookings, so on, you have to look at every one of them and see what's the context behind it. What's the context that just happened before and after. So everyone is an isolated, and it's probably its own case. Of course, we also have to look at that. We are probably the team in the league that have had probably most suspensions and game bans so far this season, which is too much. And if we have ambitions to be higher in the table, then this cannot be the future for us.
Yeah, let's hope that's questions I'm going to have to ask you on FA-related matters because I'm certainly bored of them. Let's move on to sort of more.
No, I think but I think it's just fair to say, but because there's a feeling, and I probably that feeling will be in a lot of us. But I think, of course, there's a line of what you can do as a player, and you cannot step over the line. And Borja definitely did that. So that's not acceptable, and we cannot blame anyone for taking a decision that he will be suspended, because that's fair, and he should expect that when he does a thing like that. The only thing which I think for us, and you also mentioned yourself, is that it's fine with us that we are the club at the moment where there's a lot of attention, there's a lot of eyes, and there's a lot of charges going on. But we just wanted to be out there, so it's all the other clubs as well. And I've seen too many incidents in the league, and where I didn't see any charge the week after. So that's the only thing I don't understand. But you will never hear me say that what we have done, or is particular this situation with Borja, you will never hear me say that this is acceptable, because it's not. I just want it to be out there, so it's something we can expect from week to week, that they will take those incidents up and they will charge them.
Yeah, and clearly there's a precedent with spitting as well. We've seen other players get 6 games for that, and not to sort of pick on this individual case in particular, but when you look at what Cunha did in the Premier League, and 2 games for that, it doesn't necessarily feel like they're particularly equal. I won't make you comment on that.
You said that.
Fitness issues then, and squad. Josh Sargent, let's start there. You're hopeful that he'd be able to get some minutes this weekend. Is that going to be? That's
the plan, yeah. Still not too many, because we still have to be careful, but he's looking good, and he's training with the team, and he's been training the whole week, and he's really looking good, and I think he's excited to be back with the group again. So that's really good for us. It's good news. So he will be around the team tomorrow, and then I think a little bit based on how the game goes and what's important for us and what's needed for us in the game, then I think we can bring him on for the last probably 15 minutes.
I know you've spoken about him previously, but how carefully are you going to have to build him up again? Because it has been a significant period of time he's been out. He's had surgery as well. We know they're not easy to get back to. So I'm sure there maybe is an expectation for some that he just drops in and he's going to be able to go and get goals again. But you're going to have to manage his minutes and sort of ease him back into it, aren't you?
Yeah, we have to. I think we have been careful. I think the job that has been done with him has been really good and effective as well. But it's not like we just put him out there on grass for one day and then bring him to the team. No, it's been building up, and it's been following a very clear plan. So I think everything has been well. So it is. We're not doing anything stupid here to put him on tomorrow. Then we will definitely not do it. So that is also a part of that plan. So of course the expectations is always a little bit difficult for a player to just come in again and after 8 weeks, something like that, to be able to perform on the highest level again. That will probably take some time, but just knowing him as a person and also his physical level, I think we can expect quite a performance already from the start. But of course, the last bit of it, the sharpness, the small details in the game, that will take some games.
I'm sure there's already quite a lot of positivity and good energy in the group from what happened last weekend. But seeing him return and getting back on the grass, does it give those players in there a boost? Because I'm sure it certainly does to supporters, and I'm sure it certainly does to you. So do you see that when he steps out, that there are players that are boosted in terms of their mood and confidence level?
I think it depends on who you ask, because of course there's also some players in positions up front where they start thinking, oh, now I have to be really on top again to make sure I will play. But it's good. It's exactly how we want it to be. There's competition in the group. We have good players, and we have maybe even more important, we have different kinds of players who can cover that 9 position in different ways, who can cover the winger positions in different ways. So I think it's for all of us in here. It's very good.
I think Gabe Forsyth you mentioned as well potentially for this game.
No, a little bit too early. He had an injection last week and is still recovering. So I think to put a return to play date is probably too soon for us. But he's looking better, but he just had a little bit of a setback. He still felt something in his knee when we tried to take the next step with him in the rehab. So we had to take a step back, and we had to give him an injection again, and then see if we can get him out of on the grass again.
What about the rest of the squad? How are we looking in terms of Sorensen and Gibbs, and I guess any of those other guys who have been involved? Is there any sort of issues heading into this weekend?
Yeah, Sorensen is still, that will be a couple of weeks still. Gibbs again a little bit difficult to put a return to play date on him, because we especially with him need to be very careful, because it's the third time now where there is something going on we have to be careful about, and we have to build him up properly. Not that we didn't do that last time, because I actually think there was a lot of good work being done, and we even had a guy sitting close to the players warming up before he came on to make sure that he had a proper warm up and stuff like that. But of course, incidents can happen no matter what, and how well prepared you are, it doesn't take out the risk. So we just have to do everything as good as possible and make the perfect plan for him. But I think it's too early to put a date on when he can play again.
In terms of the rest of the squad, are there any sort of fresh issues heading into this weekend?
No. So the consideration will only be about game load and minutes for some of the players who have played a lot. So there will be some rotation. It's a good couple of weeks for us, because we have had a very good week of training with very intensive training sessions and taken a step further in the way that we want to play, and we can have another good week next week. So we also have to take that into consideration, that we need fit players for the training days. But of course the game is important tomorrow, and we'll put on a competitive squad. So that's of course also the plan.
Just a couple on transfers. Anis Ben Slimani, I think there's been some quotes from Chris Wilder speaking about some talks over making that move permanent. You obviously have an option to do that anyway. Obviously not done yet, so I know it's not in that context, but maybe can you talk a little bit about why you'd be keen to do that at this stage? Because obviously you could wait until the summer, so why is there potentially maybe that urgency to get it done in this month? If that is the case, you can tell us otherwise, of course, if it's not.
I think it's fair to say that we are looking at bringing Anis in as a part of the group, and also on a longer contract than only to summer. I think when you do that, and when you have the option to do that, it gives the player some clarity on what he can expect in his career and his future, which often leads to even better performance and even better integration and everything that we do here. So that's a part of our thinking about making that move now. Of course, we still have to find that agreement with the club and player and everything, so we're not there yet. But I think what you've shown as a player for the team, I think you've shown enough to everyone to make it clear that he's definitely a player that will be useful for us. So that's something we think about. And then of course the contract stuff, timing is important, but if we can do it now and then secure that he will be our player, then why don't do it now instead of waiting to summer?
And in terms of sort of transfer activity generally, is it all still quiet and not expecting sort of anything imminently, as is the case here today?
I will not say it's quiet, because there's a lot of things going on. But again, where are we? We are the 10th of January, so there's still a lot of days to go. I think so much again also transfer-wise is about timing, and it's about, of course, other clubs being willing to let a player go. There can be games where they potentially still want the player available, and then after those games they can probably accept a transfer. So there's many different scenarios, and we are well prepared, and we're looking at different kinds of players. And I think it's fair to expect that we will bring players in this window. That's what we are trying to do, and I think it's going to work out fine for us, I think.
Two I did want to ask you about, obviously the club this week were called Vicente Reyes and Kenneth both from their loans, Cambridge and Stevenage. Can you talk a little bit around the plan for those two guys coming back now? How do you see it sort of panning out for them for probably the rest of the window and the rest of the season?
Yeah, plan is that we always need at least 3 goalkeepers around the training every day. We have George Long, we have Angus Gunn, and so far we have had Archie, sometimes also goalkeepers from the 21s being a part of the sessions, but at least 3 goalkeepers. And we think it's about time that Archie will get out there and get some game minutes, because that's the next step in his development. And I think it's realistic for us to expect that we can find a club for Archie in this window. So to take care of his development is best for him, to put him out on loan. And then of course we have to recall Vincent, because we need the 3 goalkeepers, and he's also a goalkeeper that we have definitely some expectations and ambitions on his behalf, because I think he's done well on his loan spell. And I think he's a young goalkeeper who could benefit from our training environment. So I think it's a good swap. Ken, a little bit different case, because it's of course we had to look at the game time that he got in Stevenage, and that was of course not too much. So I think we had to call him back and see if we can find another place for him to go out on loan where he can have more minutes.
The FA Cup then, and turning our attention to that, what does this competition mean to you? Was it one that was particularly prominent in Denmark? I think Glenn's spoken about how when he was younger it used to be on TV and his love for Liverpool because of that and whatnot. So is it the same for you? Is it a competition that you've sort of grown up watching over the years?
Yeah, it's big in Denmark. It's a competition that everyone who loves football they follow. It's on television and everyone will follow the teams they support or just to watch English football. So it's really, really big. So it's been a big part of me when I was younger watching football from all the best leagues out there in the world. So I'm just excited to finally have the chance to be a part of an FA Cup game. It's big and it's not something you can just expect as a coach that you get the chances to be in games like that. So that will be big for us and hopefully also the expression we have as a team tomorrow will indicate and signal to all the ones looking that it is big for us. It is important for us.
And in terms of the chance to play a Premier League team as well, so you got that earlier in the season against Crystal Palace. Where you're at now and where this team is at, and the stage of its development, how important and how good an opportunity is that for you probably to see where they're at? Yeah,
it's a very good test. It's a very good test, and you know sometimes you can do it in pre-season with friendlies where you can arrange a good schedule where you play against some teams from probably even a higher level than yourself to see where you are and see how close you can get. This is even better because it's a competitive game. It's a game where something is at stake. So it means a lot to us, and I'm really, really excited to see where we are as a team because it will give us some very good answers. We will probably, or there will be moments in the game tomorrow where we will suffer a little bit, where we have to defend and we have to be solid and we have to work really, really hard. But hopefully there will also be moments where the things that we have been able to show, some moments in the championship, we can also show against that even better team. So that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, and in terms of them, is it a case where you know clearly they will rotate and you will rotate, but is it one of those where you'd like to see as much of their Premier League team face you as possible because you get a good sign of where you're at, or because you want to progress, you want to win? I think it's always fun to beat the best possible team, and if they bring in their best players, it's always more fun to beat them. So yeah, we just their team selection is up to them. We play against 11, they select for that one. We hope, of course, they come with a good team, and we will do the same. And hopefully we can have a good game tomorrow. That's our plans, and we've had a very, very good training week. Of course, we have a lot of respect for them because it is a good team and they have a lot of good players and have done well for so many years in the Premier League now, also in Europe. So it's an experienced team, even though they have some young players. So we are really looking forward to it. Final couple from me, but Brighton, I think when you think about championship teams, they quite often get sort of held up as the example of what championship teams can do in terms of particularly data-led stuff, innovation and whatnot. I mean, how impressed are you by what they've done over the years to get themselves to the Premier League, but to stay there? Because as this club knows all too well, that's often the hardest.
Yeah, really, really impressed because, of course, they've taken some big steps and they have also changed their approach in the game probably, where the first season or the first couple of seasons they had in the Premier League was a little bit different style to where they are now as a team, where now that style of play is really, really dominant. It's really, really clear what they want to do. Probably De Zerbi took the first steps in building that. Graham Potter was also a big part of that. So that was probably the first steps, and now a third coach bringing ideas from his time in Germany and see if they can mix that together. And I think they have a good balance in the team. I think they can press and they can build up the game and they can run and they can score goals and they can create offensive collective patterns. Sometimes they can create chances by just 1v1 players. So I think they have a lot of opportunities, and I'm really impressed with the steps they've taken as a club. And it seems like just from outside, I don't know that well, but just from outside looking at that club, it seems like it's deliberate. It's something they have planned for. It's a clear strategy that they have followed, and that's a little bit what we also try to do here, where we try to put the emotions a little bit aside and look at the strategy, look at the steps that we take as a club and as a team, and then hopefully be sustainable on the long term. So definitely an inspiration for us to follow.
And finally, obviously, the big change in this competition compared to other years is the fact there's no longer any replays in it. We had a replay last year against Bristol Rovers. I mean, I don't know if you've got any sort of major opinion on that, but in terms of having a clear game where you know on the day it's decided, does that work better for you, having extra times?
It's okay.
Penalties?
It's okay. That
you play enough games.
It's okay. It's okay for us. That should it be a draw tomorrow, that will be decided tomorrow instead of having another one in already in our busy schedule. So it's fine for us, because what we also need as a club and as a team now is training weeks where we can keep on implementing the way that we want to play, keep on repeating some of the stuff that we do. And like I said to begin with in this press conference, we have had a very, very good week, because we have had a lot of days to really dig into details and keep on working on the stuff that we want to do. I don't think we're even close yet to where we want to be with this team. So to have those weeks like we have had this week and also next week is really important for us and really fantastic. So I don't need one more game. It's fine with me that it's decided tomorrow.
Good stuff. Thanks, Johannes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Connor. Can I have the cameras off, please?